This is completely unacceptable, Jacob. Your grass is 3 inches too high, and the bylaws clearly state, "Oh, hello, officers. I'm so glad you came."
I will not leave. Her voice cracked across my lawn like a whip. Karen Wilcox stood there on my property, red-faced and trembling, her phone thrust out filming me. You are in violation of community standards, and as HOA president, I have every right to enforce them. I stood there in shorts and a sleeveless undershirt, garden hose dripping in my hand, watching this woman have a meltdown over my clothing. 20 minutes later, she'd be in handcuffs, screaming about her husband's connections, while 2 police officers read her Miranda rights. The temperature had hit 90 degrees by 9 that Saturday morning. My hydrangeas were dying in the heat, and the sprinkler system had broken down again. So there I was, hose in hand, trying to save my plants, when Karen came marching across the street with that manila folder clutched like a weapon. Her husband mowed their lawn shirtless every weekend, beer gut on full display, but my sleeveless undershirt, that crossed her invisible line of decency. I'd been in Oakwood Estates 3 years. It had been perfect until 6 months ago when Karen ran for HOA president on her Restore Community Standards campaign. She plastered flyers everywhere, knocked on doors, bullied people into votes. The day she won, everything changed. She treated the position like a throne, not a service role. Within the first week, violation notices flooded mailboxes. Mrs. Chen got cited for grass half an inch too tall. The Rodriguez family got warned for leaving trash cans out 12 hours past collection. Mr. Patterson, here 15 years, got flagged for garden gnomes being aesthetically inappropriate. Karen took aesthetic walks with her clipboard, inventing violations that didn't exist in our bylaws. I landed in her crosshairs when I declined joining her neighborhood beautification committee. It was really just a gossip circle where she and her supporters made lists of neighbors they didn't like. I politely said no, citing work commitments. Her fake smile froze. "That's unfortunate," she said, voice dropping 30 degrees. "I hope you won't regret that decision." It wasn't a statement. It was a threat. From that day, she watched me constantly. I'd come home, and there she'd be on her porch across the street, arms crossed, eyes locked on my house. Every time I went outside, I'd catch her staring. The passive-aggressive comments started. "Some people have no respect for how they present themselves," she'd mutter as I watered my plants. Such a shame when residents bring down the neighborhood's tone. I ignored her every time. She was baiting me, wanting a reaction she could weaponize. But Karen needed confrontation. She needed to assert dominance. That's what brought her marching over that Saturday morning folder clutched like a criminal warrant. She didn't pause at my property line, didn't knock. She came straight at me, shoes clicking across my driveway, crunching across my grass. "Your attire is absolutely unacceptable," she hissed, eyes scanning me with disgust. "You are bringing down property values and setting a terrible example for children. The HOA has standards, Jacob, and you will comply." I took a deep breath. "Karen, there's nothing in the bylaws about what homeowners wear on their own property. I've read every page." That's when she whipped out her phone, pointing the camera at me. "I am documenting this violation," she announced like a detective. "This footage will be presented at the next board meeting when we vote on my new dress code amendment." The audacity hit me hard. She was on my property, filming me without permission, threatening to create rules specifically to punish me. "Karen," I said calmly, stepping back, "you're trespassing and filming me without consent. I'm asking you to leave. Now." Instead of backing down, she smirked. Actually, smirked. She stepped closer to my porch. "I have every right to be here as HOA president. I'm conducting official business." She flipped open her folder, jabbing at a highlighted paragraph. Section 4, paragraph 2. Board members have access to properties for inspection purposes. She'd picked the wrong fight. I'm a paralegal specializing in property law. I've spent 7 years reading contracts and bylaws. I knew our HOA rules better than Karen ever would. That section refers to common areas only. I corrected her firmly. and only during scheduled inspections with prior written notice. It doesn't give you the right to walk onto private property whenever you want. Now I'm asking one more time. Leave. Her lips curled back. The mask slipped completely. This wasn't about rules or standards. This was about power. Oh yeah? She sneered, crossing her arms, planting her feet. Or what? Are you going to call the police on me? She laughed, harsh and mocking. Do you even know who my husband is? He's personal friends with the police chief. They golf every Sunday. That was the moment. Without breaking eye contact, I pulled out my phone. Yes, actually, I said calmly. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Her confident expression cracked like cheap porcelain. Genuine uncertainty flickered across her face. You wouldn't dare, she hissed, voice trembling. I held her gaze, started recording her on my property, then dialed 911. 911? What's your emergency? Yes, I have someone trespassing on my property who refuses to leave despite multiple requests. She's being confrontational. Karen's face went from red to pink to deep purple. Go ahead, she shouted loud enough for the dispatcher to hear. Tell them I'm the HOA president, enforcing standards against an indecent homeowner. Sir, do you feel threatened? The dispatcher asked. Yes, I do, I replied, honestly. She's being aggressive, refusing to leave, and filming me while making threats. Understood. Officers are dispatched. Please disengage until they arrive. I stepped back toward my door. Karen looked triumphant. She actually believed the police would side with her. She stayed planted on my lawn, phone up, ranting about neighborhood standards and property values, filming me from every angle. As you can see, officers, she narrated to her phone, this resident is flagrantly displaying himself in inappropriate attire. 10 minutes later, tires crunched on asphalt. A patrol car stopped in front of my house. 2 officers stepped out. One male, one female, both looking exhausted. Karen's demeanor transformed instantly. The shrillness vanished, replaced by syrupy sweetness. Officers, thank goodness you're here. The female officer spoke first. We received a trespassing call. What's going on? Before I could speak, Karen pounced. Officer, I'm Karen Wilcox, president of the Oakwood Estates HOA. I was conducting official business with this resident who's violating community standards by wearing inappropriate attire in plain view of the neighborhood, including children. She gestured at my shirt with disgust. And you are? The officer turned to me. Jacob Martinez. I'm the homeowner. I asked Miss Wilcox multiple times to leave. She refused and became confrontational. I have the entire interaction recorded. I handed them my phone. They watched the video. Professional masks stayed in place, but I saw it, the subtle tightening around their eyes, the slight frown. They'd dealt with this type before. The male officer turned to Karen, voice firm. Ma'am, regardless of your HOA position, you don't have the legal right to remain on private property after being asked to leave. That's trespassing under state law. Karen's mouth fell open. But I'm the HOA president. I have authority. I'm enforcing standards. The HOA doesn't supersede state law, the female officer said firmly. HOA bylaws don't override private property rights. I'm asking you to leave this property now. That should have been it. But Karen wasn't reasonable. I will not leave, she barked, waving her folder. Not until he complies. This is a direct violation of Section 12. Ma'am? The male officer interrupted, voice dropping to dangerous quiet. Final warning. Leave immediately, or we'll arrest you for criminal trespassing. Do you understand? Karen blinked in disbelief. You cannot be serious. I'm protecting property values. I'm doing my job. Do you know who my husband is? He's friends with your police chief. They golf every Sunday. The officers exchanged that universal look cops get with entitled people. The female officer sighed. Ma'am, put down your phone and place your hands behind your back. Color drained from Karen's face. What? No. This is outrageous. I'm the victim. He's breaking the rules! Look at what he's wearing! Karen tried to resist, clutching her folder like a talisman. The officers, professionally patient, restrained her arms. You have the right to remain silent. Karen's face cycled through disbelief, rage, humiliation. By now, neighbors had emerged. Phones were out. Recording. Misses. Chen stood on her porch, hands over her mouth. Mr. Patterson openly grinned, phone held high. This is a mistake. Karen's voice echoed down the street as officers guided her to the patrol car. Her folder fell, scattering papers across my lawn. I'm the HOA president. You can't do this! He's the criminal! Look at what he's wearing! Her protests grew more desperate, but the officers remained unmoved. Once Karen was secured in the back seat, still ranting behind the glass, the male officer walked back. Sir, apologize for the disturbance. You may need to give a formal statement at the station later. Of course. Thank you for responding. As the patrol car pulled away, Karen's face pressed against the window. I stood there in my shorts and undershirt, surrounded by neighbors who'd just witnessed a tyrant's fall. 3 days later, the police called. Karen was formally charged with criminal trespassing, harassment, and disorderly conduct. She faced a $2,000 fine, potential community service, and a criminal record. But that wasn't all. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and voted 5-0 to remove her as president pending her case. But karma really delivered the knockout punch. Karen was a real estate agent. Her arrest made the local paper with a full-color photo of her being escorted to the patrol car, folder clutched in her hands, face twisted in fury. Headline: HOA president arrested for trespassing during dress code dispute. Her brokerage placed her on immediate administrative leave. Several clients immediately requested different agents. At her preliminary hearing, Karen looked broken. The aggressive confidence was gone, replaced by something bitter. Her husband sat beside her, exhausted and embarrassed. As I walked past, she leaned in. You ruined my life over a stupid shirt, she hissed. The judge called for order. Miss Wilcox, if you cannot control your outbursts, I'll hold you in contempt. She nodded stiffly. Then he frowned at her bail paperwork. Given your inability to respect boundaries and authority, I'm raising your bail by $500, effective immediately. I walked out feeling not triumph, but justice. Karen learned that power without accountability is tyranny, and tyranny faces consequences. The law doesn't care about HOA presidencies or golf buddies. It cares about rights. That Saturday, I'd simply exercised my right to exist peacefully on my own property. Everything that followed was Karen teaching herself an expensive lesson about the difference between authority and entitlement.